Hi guys, it's Wednesday, and that means classic rock on Waxing On. And today we're going to look at a band that was made up by three guys from the greater Toronto area that went down to Los Angeles and put a band together that certainly rocked the music of that generation. This is the late 60s, you gotta have to remember. And they created what was one of the great rock anthems. A song that was ranked 129 out of the 500 best songs of all time by Rolling Stone. The band only stayed together for a few years. In the early 70s, they disbanded. Over the course of the next couple of decades, there were some solo albums, there was some other performing, and then by the 1980s, they got back together again and have been performing ever since. And the band I'm talking about is Steppenwolf. We also talked, I guess, a couple of times now about this 20th Century Master series, and that's what I'm looking at today. It's a greatest hits cross-section of music of what this band was about. There was a couple of real standout hits. I mean, we had The Pusher, Magic Carpet Ride, and of course the biggest hit that I was talking about a few minutes ago, Born to be Wild. If you didn't know the band, I'm sure everybody has heard Born to be Wild. Steppenwolf is the one responsible for that. And they really got a push back in the late 60s when Pusher and Born to be Wild were included in the Dennis Hopper film, Easy Rider. And that was really something that got that music out to people. Obviously, they got a lot of airplay. I mean, Magic Carpet Ride and Born to be Wild were on a lot of the radio stations. But the inclusion in that movie really helped push it ahead. And the band was just excellent. John Kay, lead singer, born in Germany but was living just outside of Toronto at the time. He's the one that had a few solo albums after. And in the 1980s when they reformed it not as Steppenwolf but as John Kay and Steppenwolf. It's basically kind of a hard rock album. Not like I might think of some other bands, but I mean, very melodic, very definitive of the era from which it was created, and certainly something that's well worth taking a few minutes and giving a listen to. Again, there's a couple of hits that stand out, but their style, John Kay's delivery, and the overall band is just excellent. And again, this is another group with some Toronto influences like we talked about before. I mean, there's so much happening, so much came out of that city in the 60s and into the 70s. I don't have other albums. I know they're online, streaming networks. You can check it out. I always like to go greatest hits to start with because back in these days there were cases where you had hits and filler. And some people might not check out the whole album if you were going by individual albums. Greatest hits is a good place to start, good place to get an idea of what was really cooking with this band and what really made them popular. And then let's branch out and go back and check out some of those other albums. So if you get a chance, recommendation for this week for classic rock, check out Steppenwolf, a band from the 60s that created one of the greatest rock anthems of the era. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on Friday. Everybody have a great week.